Number 7. Inez Gomez Mont. In September of 2021, a Mexican news anchor went on the run with her husband after being accused of stealing millions of dollars from the Ministry of the Interior. A warrant for Inez Gomez Mont's arrest was issued by a federal judge on September the 10th, following an investigation into her financial dealings from 2016 to 2017. It was revealed that Gomez Mont and her husband, Victor Manuel Alvarez Puga, had embezzled roughly $146 million from the government's public resources through nearly 1,500 banking operations with various shell companies. The couple consequently faced charges of money laundering, operations with resources of illicit origin, and embezzlement, which together carried a maximum sentence of 20 to 60 years in prison. On September the 14th, an anonymous former employee claimed that the pair had fled to the United States with their children. The Mexican Attorney General's office subsequently requested that Interpol issue red notices for Gomez Mont and Alvarez Puga, which would allow investigators to coordinate with foreign officials in their efforts to locate them. Gomez Mont has hosted a variety of Mexican talk shows since the start of her career in the late 1990s. She'd previously gained international attention for proposing to former New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady at the media day for the 2008 Super Bowl. Number 6. Wallace Souza. In 2009, a popular Brazilian television presenter was accused of hiring hitmen to carry out various murders in a twisted effort to boost his program's ratings. The disquieting allegations were levied against Wallace Souza, a former elected member of the Legislative Assembly of Amazonas, who'd also long served as the host of a controversial news program called Canal Livre. Prior to branching out into broadcasting and politics, Souza had worked as a police officer but was fired from his position in 1987 after he was reportedly arrested for pension fraud and fuel theft. Canal Livre was launched 2 years later, and it quickly became a ratings success due to the graphic, hands-on nature of the investigative journalism being performed on the show. Souza regularly covered raids and arrests while also being known for following closely behind police chases in a helicopter. Suspicions began to arise concerning Souza's remarkable ability to arrive at crime scenes and gather footage before the advent of law enforcement. In response to mounting accusations of criminal activity, the host claimed that he and his team used police informants and radio scanners to stay updated on the latest crime scenes. However, the validity of his statements was called into question by the testimony of Monsieur Jorge da Costa, a former police officer. Da Costa alleged that Souza had tasked him with killing someone in order for the TV host to get to the scene of the crime before the authorities would become aware of the situation. A police investigation into the television presenter's seedy affairs was launched, and it emerged that he and his accomplices had arranged a total of 5 murders in their attempts to boost the show's viewership. Warrants for the arrest of Souza and his son were issued shortly thereafter. The disgraced host initially fled from justice before ultimately turning himself into the police on October the 9th of 2009. He was charged with murder, drug trafficking, intimidation of witnesses, illegal carrying of arms, and formation of a criminal gang. Souza wouldn't, however, face the punishment associated with his crimes. He reportedly suffered from a rare medical condition known as Budd-Chiari syndrome. The former TV show host went into cardiac arrest at a hospital in Sao Paulo, which ultimately led to his death. Number 5. Rossler. A television news anchor was arrested for smashing a beer bottle over a man's head during a heated argument on September the 27th of 2020. The altercation, which reportedly took place in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, was sparked by a disagreement between 28-year-old Rossler and a male acquaintance of hers as they were discussing politics. The pair was sitting outside with a larger group of people at about 4:30 p.m. when the dispute abruptly escalated. Rossler allegedly grabbed a glass bottle and swung it at the victim's head, leaving him with cuts on his face that required stitches to mend. According to a report by local police, Rossler, who served as a morning news anchor for WIS-TV in Columbia, South Carolina, was subsequently taken into custody and charged with aggravated assault. In the incident's wake, she was fired from her position. However, in January of 2021, she found employment at KXLT-TV in her home state of Minnesota. Number 4. Kiffle Geologist. On March the 20th of 2021, a morning news anchor from Las Vegas was found in a rather compromising position by members of law enforcement. According to documents filed by local authorities, Kiffle Geologist was passed out, unclothed, and admitted the potent stench of alcohol when police officers stopped her car on a residential street at around 7:30 in the morning. During the course of their interaction with the woman, the officers reportedly requested that she exit her vehicle. When she tried to comply with their instructions, Kiffle Geologist allegedly stumbled out onto the road and the smell of alcohol became even stronger. The woman, who'd appeared on the Fox 5 Las Vegas news program every weekday since 2018, reportedly declined to submit to a blood test. Following her arrest, she was charged with reckless driving with disregard for the safety of a person or property. She also faced a $1,000 fine and was consequently required to attend driving school. Kiffle Geologist didn't appear on her regular television time slot for an entire week following her run-in with the police. Upon her return, she issued an on-air apology for her behavior and vowed to use the incident as a learning experience. Number 3. Chuck Barris. In an autobiography published in 1984, well-regarded television presenter Chuck Barris claimed that he'd worked as an assassin for the CIA. Barris had enjoyed a tremendously successful television career prior to writing his book. In addition to hosting the NBC-produced series The Gong Show, he also aided in the creation of The Dating Game and The Newlywed Game, both of which experienced extended runs on network television. Barris continued to thrive in the entertainment industry until the second half of the 1970s, during which many of the shows that he was closely involved with began posting decreased ratings figures. In 1980, the man formerly known as the King of Daytime TV made the decision to sell his production company for a reported $100 million. According to an article written for NBC News, Barris subsequently checked into a New York City hotel and proceeded to write his entire autobiography over the course of 2 months. Upon its publication in 1984, the television host faced widespread criticism for his assertions that he'd been living a double life as a CIA assassin during the 1960s and 70s. The intelligence agency itself denied having had any relationship with Barris. In 1984, on the Today Show, the TV anchor admitted to have made the whole story up, but in 2010, he left a seed of doubt in a different interview by saying, "I'll never say one way or the other." On March the 21st of 2017, Barris passed away of natural causes at his home in Palisades, New York. The 2003 film Confessions of a Dangerous Mind is based on his autobiography. Number 2. Suhab Illyasi. A former Indian television presenter faced a slew of legal repercussions in connection to the death of his wife, which culminated in him being sentenced to life in prison. In December of 2017, Suhab Illyasi rose to prominence during the 1990s as the host of the popular crime show India's Most Wanted. The series was credited with pioneering the crime-busting format on Indian television. Each episode of the program documented law enforcement's efforts to track down some of the country's most notorious criminals. The show's subject matter led to Illyasi and his family regularly receiving death threats from members of the criminal underworld. In response to these threats, Illyasi requested that local police assign 2 officers to guard his residence. On the night of January the 10th of 2000, Illyasi reportedly told the constables patrolling his neighborhood that his wife had stabbed herself. After being transported to the hospital, the woman eventually passed away due to severe internal bleeding. Illyasi faced criminal charges as a result of the fatal incident. According to court records, he was charged with mental harassment, destroying evidence, and dowry death. The latter meant that Illyasi had driven his wife to take her own life by torturing her in pursuit of dowry money. Following a prolonged investigation, the allegations against the former television star were upgraded. Nearly 2 decades since his wife's death, Illyasi was convicted of her murder by a Delhi court, and he was consequently sentenced to life imprisonment. The Delhi High Court acquitted him a year later, however, stating that the evidence against him was insufficient for the conviction to be sustained. Number 1. Paul Ballard. In August of 2021, a former children's television star was jailed for causing a fatal 8-vehicle accident in Essex, England. According to testimony presented during the case's legal proceedings, Paul Ballard, aged 39, had taken a significant amount of cocaine prior to getting behind the wheel of the car that ultimately instigated the accident. As he traveled on Squirrels Heath Road in Romford, Ballard suffered a seizure and lost control of the vehicle, which then accelerated to speeds of up to 104 miles per hour. The posted speed limit on that particular stretch of road was reportedly only 30 miles per hour. The oscillating trajectory of Ballard's car eventually led it directly into a vehicle driven by Eileen Haskell, aged 64. Ballard plowed into the back of Haskell's Ford Cougar while she was stopped at a red light. The collision triggered an 8-car pileup that not only claimed Haskell's life but also that of a 48-year-old schoolteacher named Richard Trezise. He, according to court records, was waiting at a bus stop at the time of the incident. After the ensuing police investigation, Ballard pleaded guilty to causing death by dangerous driving, and he was sentenced to 9 years in prison. The former co-presenter of the popular kids show Dig It also faced charges stemming from the alleged assault of a woman at a hotel. Ballard contested the allegations but was ultimately found guilty following a trial at the Chelmsford Crown Court. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have the biggest embarrassments of your life broadcast on national TV or have each of your thoughts appear above your head for all to see? Let us know in the comments section below.